So previously we discussed, or I talked about various topics in this chapter. The most important thing in this chapter that we are supposed to understand is, first of all, starting with displacement, motion, and then coming up to the point wherein displacement and motion that happens. So under this topic, we discussed already a few topics. First of all, we discussed rectilinear motion, which basically means motion that is done through in a straight line. Now, when we plot this kind of a motion, we only need one axis, that is x-axis. We also talked about something that is displacement and how it is different from motion and how the calculation for both is different. We realize that motion can be in either forms throughout the x-axis, towards the positive as well as the negative. But in displacement, what we calculate is the motion that has the difference has happened from the starting point. Now, we realize that the magnitude of displacement may or may not be equal to the path length traversed by an object. And certainly, how did we discuss this? We understood this because we know that there is a quite possibility that we would be recrossing our origin point while going towards our destination. So in that case, the total path length that we have traveled may or may not be different from something that has calculated the total displacement. Now there is a graph that is showing us the time graph of a stationary object. Now because the object is stationary at 40-meter distance, even though time has lapsed of 60 seconds, the graph would continue in this way. And an object that is in a uniform motion, which means that the speed of that, the velocity of that object is same, will have a graph something like this. Now, certainly when we are driving in a car or in a real life scenario, the uniform motion is something that is very difficult to replicate. So a real life motion of a vehicle would be something like this. So you see the distance that is covered in the first 2 seconds is almost zero. And then slowly the distance covered increases. And after reaching a certain point, it again stops at that point. So at 20 seconds, we see that the position of the car is around 300 and then it has stopped moving. So for the next 2 seconds at this moment, between the 10th second and the 18th second, you see there is uniform motion and continuous increment of the distance that the car has covered. Then we came up with the formula of average velocity. We know it is delta x upon delta t, which is total displacement that has happened divided by the differential of time. Sorry, differential of distance that has occurred divided by differential of time, and that is how we come up to average velocity. Now there are some more graphs that show something that is moving with positive velocity, something that is moving with negative velocity, and something that is at rest. So these graphs are very important because we can understand how exactly a particular object would be in motion or not. Then we came up to a formula that says average speed. Average speed is total path length upon total time interval. And we also realize that the average velocity is the slope of the line that has occurred between two particular time zones that we have decided. Now there are some sums that I wanted you guys to do. I hope you have done it. Here again, they are calculating average speed, which is path length upon time interval. And they are also calculating average velocity, which is displacement upon time interval. In this case, both of them are same. But in another case, when average velocity, where displacement is more and path length is even much more, then you see that there is a difference between average velocity and average speed. Now, why is that? Obviously, because as I told you earlier, path length is always may or may not be same to displacement. Displacement is the difference of is the distance that has been created by an object away from the origin point. Okay, any questions so far? Now let's see what is this. So okay, yeah, so there's nothing here. I also talked about something wherein we said that it is difficult to show the process graphically, but numerically, if you discuss this through, it would be easier to decipher the total value of velocity that has been done. Why it is difficult to show this graphically? Because you need to realize that velocity will start from the point of origin and will continue to happen till the time that the object has stopped moving. And sometimes it's not very easy to show that. So if you see in figure 3.7, you see that the velocity has increased from 0 seconds, and it has gone up to 25 meter per second and has been constant at 25 meter per second for some time, and then it has fallen down. Now it has said that we can correspond this to figure 3.3. So let's see figure 3.3 again very quickly here. So here you have the distance traveled. You see from 0 to 2, it has not traveled any distance. And then you see that it has traveled a lot of distance till the 20th second. If you keep this figure in mind, and if you superimpose it with this graph, then you can very easily realize what it is talking about. You see at the 20th second, the velocity has come to almost 0, because after 20th second, it has not moved. And you also see that there has been uniform motion that has continued for a long duration, and you see that here as well. So till the time it has reached say 9 seconds, there has been acceleration, and after 9 seconds the velocity has remained constant. Now there is some limiting value of delta x upon delta t at t is equal to 4 seconds. You see what happens at every second, and you also see that there is a difference of velocity as well. So you see when the distance that has been covered is let's say 10 meters, and sorry, 7.84 meters in 2 seconds, then the total velocity has been 3.92. Now you can realize that limiting value even for a very small duration of time, let's say 0.01. So that at the 4th second of 0.01, you see that the velocity is almost similar to what it was at 2 seconds as well. So even though the limiting value can change, the amount of the velocity will not be as different as you would believe it to be. Now they have come up with another example. They say that this was also discussed in the day before yesterday's lecture. So what it talks about is how exactly would an object move along the x-axis if you know that the value of x is equal to a plus bt square. You know a and b ka value, and t you know is measured in seconds. So you can come up with a value for that using the same calculations quite easily. Okay, so yeah, this has been done yesterday. Let's quickly go to, let's see what else I want to talk about. Okay, yeah, coming to uniform acceleration, I wanted to talk about this. Okay. So here it talks about how a velocity of an object changes during the course of its motion. So how exactly when you are in motion, the velocity of an object doesn't remain constant, it keeps on changing. So how do you actually understand it? Do you understand the change of velocity with distance or with time? Because if you have increased the velocity, the distance covered would be more. And also if you have increased the velocity, the distance covered in a particular time would also be different. So how do we actually calculate acceleration? Today we know that we calculate acceleration by understanding by how much more is the speed increasing. Now, it says that during the time of Galileo, he had a problem in understanding this and how exactly you calculate acceleration. But now what we do that, it's very simple. We calculate acceleration over a time interval as defined by the change of velocity during the time interval. So like how we calculate average velocity by distance covered upon differential of distance covered upon differential of time. Similarly, now we calculate average acceleration by the differential of velocity upon differential of time. So they have given an example at between 0 to 10 second, 10 to 18 second, and 18 to 20 second, the average acceleration. How will you calculate that? So we know that the velocity started from 0 and went to 24. between 0 to 10 seconds. So we know 24 minus 0, and we know that the time is 10 minus 0. So we know that the average acceleration was 2.4 meter per second. Between 10 to 18, it was at 24 meter per second. So again, 24 minus 24 upon 18 minus 10. Now, because you get 0 in the numerator, there is no point in having any number in the denominator. Anything number divided by 0 will always be 0. So you know that it is 0 meter per second. And 18 minus 20, you see that the velocity ended in 0 and it started from 24. So you know it's 0 minus 24, which will give you a negative acceleration. Now this is true. क्यों होगा नेगेटिव एक्सेलरेशन? इज ऑब्वियस, क्योंकि वो ब्रेक मार रहा है 18 सेकंड के बाद वो गाड़ी को रोक रहा है, यानी कि दे आर स्टॉपिंग द कार, दे आर ब्रेकिंग द कार, एंड व्हेन यू आर ब्रेकिंग द कार द वेलोसिटी, द एक्सेलरेशन हैज टू बी नेगेटिव. यू आर डी-एक्सेलरेटिंग. See, velocity will not go into negative. Velocity will only go up to 0, but acceleration, the incremental value in velocity will come to a stop at one time, and then it will start de-acceleration because the vehicle needs to be or the object needs to stop there. So here you see that there is a de-acceleration that is done because the vehicle has to stop, and in that case the de-acceleration that you can see is at the speed of 12 meter per second. So it's actually de-accelerating. Minus 12 meter per second means it is de-accelerating. We already studied instantaneous velocity, that is differential of velocity upon differential of time. Similarly, the instantaneous acceleration is also same. So that is okay. Now what can we do? All right. So the first paragraph explains what I've already explained to you. So we'll go with the second paragraph now. Since velocity is a quantity having both magnitude and direction, a change in velocity may involve either or both of these factors. Acceleration therefore may result from a change in speed, a change in direction, or changes in both. Like velocity, acceleration can also be positive, negative, or zero. Position graphs for motion with positive, negative, and zero acceleration are shown in figures 3.9 A, B, and C. We can note that the graph curves upward for positive acceleration, downward for negative, and it is a straight line for zero. So let's see those things. So there is some upward in the first one, there is a downward graph in the second one, and you see that in zero it is uniform. Now, can you tell me why in zero it is uniform? Because whatever velocity has been achieved before the acceleration point that we had taken into consideration, that velocity will remain uniform. You need to understand this. Velocity is different from acceleration. Acceleration is incremental value of velocity. Acceleration मतलब velocity बढ़ाना. बट अगर ऑलरेडी कोई वेलोसिटी अचीव की गई है तो वो यूनिफॉर्म रहेगी until unless डी एक्सेलरेशन नहीं हुआ. डी एक्सेलरेशन होगा तो फिर वो यूनिफॉर्म नहीं होने की जगह पे स्ट्रेट लाइन में धीरे धीरे कन्वर्ट हो जाएगी. बट यहाँ पे ये ऐसे ही इंक्रीमेंटल ऐसे ही ग्राफ क्रिएट करेगी क्योंकि वेलोसिटी जो है वो यूनिफॉर्म है. इस पे कोई क्वेश्चन है? Okay, let's continue. Let us see how velocity time graph looks like for some simple cases. Velocity time graph for motion with constant acceleration. An object is moving in a positive direction with a positive acceleration between time 0 and 10 seconds. So let's see how uska graph kaise ban raha hai. 0 से 10 seconds के बीच में उसका positive acceleration यानी acceleration जो है incremental है, बढ़ रहा है. Second क्या है? Object is moving in positive direction with a negative acceleration between 18 seconds and 20 seconds. तो यहाँ पे आपको दिख रहा है negative acceleration है तो नीचे की तरफ गिर रहा है. Okay. Object is in negative direction with a negative acceleration. तब क्या होता है? तो ये आपका 0 से भी नीचे होगा. Okay. All right, no worries. और fourth में क्या है? Positive direction till time t1, then turns back with same negative acceleration. तो यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है? यहाँ पे t1 पे आके वो नेगेटिव में चला जा रहा है तो फिर वो x एक्सिस को क्रॉस करके नीचे की तरफ बढ़ जाएगा. All right, that's quite simple. Okay, now this is all right. I don't. यहाँ पे जो bold में दिया, they are trying to tell us that how it is different from real world. In these graphs, you see that the start points and the end points are quite random. Now that is because we are trying to understand how acceleration and negative acceleration works. In real life, obviously that is not possible. ऐसा तो नहीं है कि गाड़ी की स्पीड चलते चलते अचानक से आप उसको मतलब all of a sudden वो negative acceleration में चला जाएगा. आपको ब्रेक करने में टाइम लगेगा उसको. तो ये रियल लाइफ में एकदम स्मूथली आगे बढ़ता जाएगा, जो कि एक कर्व फॉर्म में ग्राफ बनेगा. So acceleration and velocity cannot change values abruptly. Changes are always continuous. मतलब अचानक से वो उल्टा नहीं हो जाएगा, वो धीरे धीरे होगा. तो अगर आप रियल लाइफ ग्राफ देखोगे तो it would be more curvy in nature as compared to what we are studying in this book. Now coming to kinematic equations for uniformly accelerated motion. Let's see these ones very quickly. For uniformly accelerated motion, we can derive some simple equations that relate displacement, that is x, time taken, that is t, initial velocity, that is v0, final velocity v, and acceleration a. Equation 3.6 already obtained gives a relation between final and initial velocities v and v of 0 of an object moving with uniform acceleration a. So v is equal to v of 0 plus a, that is acceleration, multiplied by t, that is time. This relation is graphically represented in figure 3.12. The area under this curve, area between instance 0 and t, area of triangle ABC plus area of rectangle OACD. So let's see. All right. So from the point of A to the point of B, you see there is uniform acceleration and there is change in velocity. So B to C is a change in velocity that you can see. And you can also see that there is some point in between A to C wherein the velocity was same. So how do we calculate that? Again, you can simply calculate the area by using the formulas that is area of a triangle and area of rectangle. So area of triangle is 1 upon 2 base into height, and plus you have area of rectangle, that is length into breadth. So you use that formulas and you can very easily calculate that. The area under VT, which is this part, it represents the displacement. So you use the formula and you can get up to a value that it says that displacement is equal to so whatever is the total velocity plus the initial velocity, the final velocity plus the initial velocity upon 2 will give you constant acceleration only. Okay. All right, let's see what else is important here. There are some examples. I don't want to get into that. Okay, yeah. There's one last thing I want to talk about, and then we can start with solving questions here. Now, this is something that is very important, relative velocity. And why is this important? We already discussed how you feel motion or how an object would feel motion. An object would feel motion depending on whether it has been in motion before accelerating or deaccelerating, or whether it has not been in motion at all. Now, whatever velocities that you have, which are similar, will always be relative to the position wherein how it started with. Now, since we are only talking about motion in a straight line, in a rectilinear motion, in this case, we understand it's only in one dimension, that is along the x-axis. So, whatever velocities that we are talking about are always on the ground only. And therefore, we understand that the location of a particular object or the motion of a particular object is always in respect to the time that has been taken, as well as the velocity that has been subject to that object for the displacement that are we talking about. तो यहाँ पर ये बहुत ही सिंपल है कि जो भी उनका वेलोसिटी एक ऑब्जेक्ट का दूसरे ऑब्जेक्ट से कंपेयर अगर करना है, तो ऑल वी हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड इज इट विल बी द डिफरेंस ऑफ द वेलोसिटीज ऑफ बोथ द ऑब्जेक्ट्स. तो अगर मेरे पास एक ऑब्जेक्ट है, लेट्स से ऑब्जेक्ट ए है जो कि एक पर्टिकुलर वेलोसिटी पे लेट्स से 5 मीटर पर सेकंड की स्पीड से जा रहा है, और अगर मेरे पास दूसरा ऑब्जेक्ट है जो लेट्स से 10 मीटर पर सेकंड की स्पीड से जा रहा है, तो दोनों के रिलेटिविटी, उनका ऑब्जेक्ट का जो रिलेटिव वेलोसिटी है, अगर वो कैलकुलेट करना है तो हमें एक ऑब्जेक्ट से दूसरे ऑब्जेक्ट के बीच का जो डिफरेंस है वो कैलकुलेट करना पड़ेगा, एंड दैट इज हाउ वी विल गेट द रिलेटिव वेलोसिटी ऑफ दैट ऑब्जेक्ट. ठीक है? Okay. I'm going to send a sheet that will have the answers to these to the questions of these exercises. I want you to go through them. If you have any question, you can ask me again. And I'm going to take a 10 minutes break, and we'll come back, and I'm going to start the next chapter. Okay.